Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Model Man Frank here. How was your weekend? If you had to work, I'm sorry. Maybe it's the start of your weekend. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend somewhat. I know tonight we were going to talk about the B-29 and over Korea. I have to tell you the truth. I didn't really set up I started reading about it and everything like that, and I forgot. So I went to go see family, and I went to go see my parents for the weekend, and they're important. So I spent some time with them and enjoyed, and so I had a good weekend with them. Enjoyed my time, me and my wife, and we went to go and see them. Um, and got some great books from my dad. Um, we did a little bit of a kind of like we had to go do some things, and then we went to go to the Bay of Pigs Memorial, which is located at Tamiami Airport, which is Miami Executive Airport, Kendall Miami Executive Airport. And we went there, and I took some pictures, and I took some video of me talking to my father. There'll be a short video coming out in the next couple of weeks, and then I'll put out a long format video of kind of like the second chapter of the Bay of Pigs. Um, it went from I wanted my father to tell me the story of what happened there, and then his perspective as a family, what my father and my mother had to go through when they came to this country, and then we'll go into the next phase of this, which will be most of the brigade who went to fight for God and for the CIA in Africa. And but we're gonna go a little bit more depth into it, and I'm probably gonna try and sit down with my father and have a little bit more in-depth conversations about certain portions of what life was like in Cuba, so you can actually see what the difference was between after Castro and before Castro. A lot of people don't really know what life was like before Castro, especially the Cubans that have come here and have been told by family, but I want people to really grab hold of what was lost in Cuba. So, one of the things so we went to the Bay of Pigs Memorial. We looked up, there'll be some photos I'm putting together and so on. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth, but I want to show you some of the books just to give you guys a heads up, kind of fill in what's going on. So we're not going to talk about B-29s and the Korean War. We will talk about that next week. I will change the header. I'm sorry, it's not clickbait or anything like that. It's just that I really didn't prep too well. Again, I went to go see my parents, so I had spent a little time with them, and so on. But was able to do some things that I wanted to do, and see family and so on and so forth, and get some books that I've really been wanting to get from my father from his library. And I'm going to show, so just get the technicalities away. The window you see up here, that is my Patreon page. If you can support the channel, go ahead and go over to Patreon. It's $2 to join. You'll get a little bit more of an in-depth view on the way I prep for the show. I'll also put up links and things like that I use, and that way you can get a little bit more insight. It's $2 a month, and it helps me out a lot. And your support is really greatly appreciated. Also, if you're not subscribed and you're watching this podcast for the first time in playback, or if you're on here as a live viewer, hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell icon. YouTube will alert you when we're going live every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. here on this channel. And also hit the thumbs up button. Helps out with the algorithm. Helps spread the word about what I do here. So with that said, let's go on. So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the books that I got. I mean, they're really fantastic books. I'm just going to tell you that. First one I'm going to talk to you guys about is the Cuban Revolution book that I got. And it's called The Cuban Revolution, Years of Promise. And I haven't been able to flip through the book yet. I'm going to get you guys an image here so you can see what it is. And maybe some of you have seen the book. This book has been out of publication for a little while, but you can get it still. So it is. It's got a lot of pictures, a lot of insight on the book and the revolution itself. It's got a good story. It's got photos that you will not see anywhere else either. A lot of just a whole lot of people in here that I'm not too sure who they are, but they'll show a lot of photos also of some of the actual people who fought in the revolution against Batista. I don't know if anybody has been reading Lou Elizondo, who is on the other spectrum, for his book, which is about Imminent. It's about the UAP and UFO subject. But his dad was in the brigade in the revolution, the Cuban Revolution, and then later fought against Castro in the Bay of Pigs. Be kind of cool to get an interview with him, and if he has any information about his dad and what, maybe his dad spoke to him about what Cuba was like before the 1950s. That'd be a great interview if I could get that. Not so much talk about the UAP because, that's a conversation, but get the conversation, more conversation about what happened in Cuba during the revolution, during the time of the revolution, and so on. Not a lot of people talk too much about it. People do talk about it, but there's not a lot of personal stories from family members who fought in the revolution or fought against the revolution. This is a really good book. I look forward to getting into it. This is the book here. That's the cover that you see right there, right over here. And this is the back of the cover. This book was printed, I'll tell you when it came out. You could probably find it on one of the used bookstores or thrift books online. This book was first printed, actually printed in Gainesville, and the copyright on this book, 2005. So this book was copyrighted in 2005. You can go to University Press of Florida, www.upf.com, and take a look and see if they have it. If they don't, try and find the book online. If I find the link for where the book is located and if there's more copies, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below so you can go straight to it and find it. I'm not sure if they have it on Amazon, but you can check it out. But that's a really good book that I'm going to look into. The next one here we're going to look into is the one that I had talked to you guys about. I think I had posted about it, and this one you can get on Amazon. It is available. And it talks about the Bay of Pigs. It goes a little bit into the Bay of Pigs, and then it goes into the actual war in the Congo against Che Guevara in Africa, and that is For God and the CIA. This book is really good. It's got a lot of insight. It's got a lot of images in it. If you're a model builder or an RC model builder or a plastic, fine scale model builder, this would be a book that you would really want to get. Also, the company that actually put this book out, if you go to the back side of the book, it has other books, of the Africa War series. They have a whole bunch of series, but in this book itself, they have images and cutaways of what the dress attire and what the aircraft would look like, and what type of war they were fighting over there. So I'm gonna give you guys an image here so you can take a look at it. So a lot of insight. Now, that was the B-26K model that you're seeing there. So it was the attack version of this is the A-26 B-26 model. They painted the aircraft in green. The images of the males that are painted up in there, those are the Makasis. And the artwork is really good. On the bottom, those are the pilots and how they would have dressed and what weapons they would have been carrying. The submachine gun, a weapon virtually unknown outside the Belgium and its zone of influence. That was the 9mm Parabel Veganora machine gun. Also, it's got a lot of stuff in here that, again, if you're a model builder, it's got a lot of color photos in it, and some of the actual regulation and instructions for the pilots. I mean, it's really a well done book. A lot of photos, like I said, and the story is very in depth. Also talks about how children were used in the fight against the CIA, and Che Guevara would, brainwash them to fight against the soldiers. That's one of the big sadness things of war and the things that happen. This book here, you can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below. This is a book you really want to... If you've read about the Bay of Pigs invasion and during that time period, the Korean War and so on, and you want to read a little bit more on how the fight against Che Guevara's forces went down, this is a book to read. Again, also, and I will be... Again, this was in the Democratic Republic of Congo, just north of Zambia. And it is a... very insightful book. Very insightful. It'll give you a lot of information. And you'll learn something new. It is a good book to learn. So you really want to look into this book. This is a book to look at. But I'll tell you the truth. I haven't read anything about this book yet. But just reading some of the first couple of pages in the book, you're like, wow, there's some stuff here that I didn't even know. It's not even in the books that I've read. And, yeah, like I said, that's a book to get too. Next book I'm going to show you is a book that also I got. When you're reading about a subject like this and you really want to go what the what was in the mind of Che Guevara when he was doing this and what the type of person he was, you want to look for the right book. My father got this book a while ago. I knew it was in his library and I really wanted it. So this is a book. You can find it still online. If you need to, you can order it through. I've seen it on eBay, and I have seen it also on Amazon. So if you want to go there and look for it, you should be able to find it. But oops, that's Che Guevara. Find it under from John Lee Anderson. Does a pretty good job of researching who he was, what he really stood for. Nothing of the things that the media wants to portray him as, a freedom fighter, and so, he wasn't that. He did not like. If you were wearing glasses, he saw you as an intellectual, and he had you killed. This is the type of man he was. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to sit here and you're going to support a butcher like him, you're at the wrong channel. Go find another channel to look at. This man killed a lot of people, all in the name of communism and socialism. I'm sorry, socialism leads to communism. And sometimes you wish you think you're getting something. It's not the type of. In other words, let's look at it as a pumpkin. Sometimes if you see the pumpkin, you're like, wow, what a beautiful pumpkin. You get the pumpkin home, and you can't wait to open the pumpkin. You cut it open, and it's black inside. That's what socialism is. It's a pretty picture that is painted to you, and when you start really going into it and you start making the changes in your country, it doesn't work out. There's no way. It may look great on paper, but in practice it never works. So really, you really want to know what it's all people will tell you, and in colleges and everything like that, they'll try and sell you a bill of goods. It's not good. So this is a book you really want to read. If you want to get into the mind of who this guy was. And it's a good book to read. I've read the back cover of it. You know, it does delve into some stuff, but I'm not going to give away what I've read. So this is a good book to read. It's pretty thick. So get ready. I mean, if you like reading thick books, this one's pretty thick. This is what when the book first came out, this is new artwork. This is the old artwork. Che was the most complete human being of our age. Yeah, this is some of the people that wrote about him. It's really about his life and who he was before and who he became after. So it's just going to kind of open your mind to who the type of person he was. But so this book, good book to read. The next one on the list here, and I'm going to show you here, is The Great Game of Cuba. I have never read this book. My father swears by it. It's a really good book to read, he says, and you really need to understand. So you're getting a perspective here of what Cuba was like. So if you watch the video that I did with my dad, I'll put a link in the description box below, and I'll link it to this in one of the boxes here. You'll be able to go up here and watch it. But one of the things you're going to want to do is go watch that video, and then it's going to encourage you to learn more about what really was all about Cuba. And what happened with the Castro. Castro was backed by the CIA to overthrow Batista. The problem was that Castro knew he was going to get arms, he was going to get weapons, he was going to get everything from the CIA, so he played a game and didn't tell the CIA exactly the person he was. Very smart of him in that aspect. Um, the CIA wanted to remove Batista and wanted to remove mob influence throughout the country, but of course they went about it all wrong, and we all know what happened. But these are the books you want to read if you want to look into this subject as a whole. Okay, and it is a very important subject because you get a little bit more insight than what you're being taught at school. And it's going to be a little bit more cut and dry. So you really want to get some of these books. You don't have to get them all. Just read some of these books and read into it and see what your... It's a subject matter, and if you want to really go into history, this is the best way to do it because your mind will be blown. I'll show you the cover of this book. It's better than me putting it up on the camera here because it's just not going to come out the right way. So I'm going to get you guys an image so you can look at it. This is the book here. Whoa, a little too big, a little too small too. There we go. The Great Cuba Game. And I've never really read into this book. It's a historical book. May look like a novel to you, but it's not. How the CIA sabotaged its own plot to unseat Fidel Castro. So they got Castro in, and then they wanted to get Castro out. So a lot of these books, they give you the insight of what the CIA to get him in, and then when they realized they made the mistake, they needed to try and get him out. So there was a lot of things that happened, and this is a really good book you want to look into and get. Again, I'll put a link in the description box. I think you can find it on some of the thrift stores. Or now, this information will not show up immediately. Please give me a day or so to put it in. It's a lot of information and a lot of books to go through. But we'll try and get you all this information in here so you guys can find a couple of these books. You can even go to your library, maybe your public library in your neighborhood. Not a lot of people go to a library anymore, but maybe somebody in the library has dropped one of these books off, and you'll be able to see what book is a good match for you. And the last book, this one here, actually, I'm sorry, not the last one. Decision for Disaster is a pretty good book. Okay, this one's was written by Gray Lynch. So this is a really nice book to read. Not that long, but it gives you a little bit more insight, some maps and things like that in here. So it's another good book to read. But the very last one that I have here, this is the book we're going to read. We're going to learn a little bit more about the air war over Korea. This will be next week. Okay, this week I just didn't get to delve a little deep into the B-29 story. Very interesting things about the air war over Korea was one of the facts that probably never even knew. I'm sure everybody here knows what the F-82 was. If you didn't, give you a little brief history. The P-82, as it was known during the World War II years, piston model 82, was developed by North American Aviation, the same North American Aviation that developed and produced in mass the most famous World War II fighter, Korea. This fighter was used in Korea, and many South American and North American countries used it later on in in the after-war years. It flew valiantly throughout the war and all the different models that it was produced, and there were many models left of that aircraft after it was produced. And we're talking about the P-51 Mustang. Okay, it was by far one of the best fighters, most advanced fighter built during World War II. Besides the P-38, the P-47, the Spitfire, and the Hellcat. And now here's a funny thing. Speaking of the Hellcat. So the P-51 Mustang, they actually developed one Seahorse, they called it. A P-51 Mustang to be able to land on an aircraft carrier. There was only one test. There is a video out there. I'll see if I can find the link for it, and I'll put it here on this channel so you guys can go watch it. They beefed up the landing gear, and they beefed up the tail, and they did one or two tests with it, a couple of tests with the aircraft off the coast of San Diego, and they flew the aircraft and tried to do some landings and takeoffs, but the aircraft never really caught on with the Navy, and the Navy didn't want it. So, but yes, they did have a Seahorse, and it was just a silver aircraft. Wasn't really anything special. They put a tail hook on it, shot it off, took it off the aircraft carrier, and landed on the aircraft carrier a couple of times, and that was it. The Navy didn't want it. They went back to producing them for the Army Air Force, which later became the U.S. Air Force. So North American built a twin-engine version of the Mustang, and then later on, it became the F-82, which was first started out as the P-82. Something I didn't know there is that the F-82 was the first American combat aircraft in the Korean War to shoot down a Yak-9 fighter of the People's Liberation Forces, which was flown by a Russian. So, but we'll get a little bit more into that next week. I didn't get to work on any models this week. I did go flying this past week. I got a video that's going to be coming out of the EC-1300 cargo plane. Somebody gave it to me. We put, if you saw a couple of videos past, you can, Google. We went online and actually we made a video of us putting a space shuttle on it as a piggyback. And my nickname for that aircraft, cargo planes are really cool, but this one, I call it the Flying Pig. That's right, I call it the Flying Pig. It looks like a pig, it flies like a pig. I think it's a flying pig. I want to make a little cartoon, and I'm going to put it on the side of it called the Flying Pig. So we flew the Pig. I nicknamed it the Pig. So if you ever hear me talk about the Pig, I'm talking about that aircraft. We flew the Pig, and we put a Bell X-1. We did a couple of glider tests with the Bell X-1. Our secretary flew it, Jerry, and it did really well. The next test will be actual powered flight to see if the aircraft doesn't burn the tail off the EC-135 and it releases before firing it and taking off with it. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll make a video of that when we do that. And there'll also be some more other video of that also as well. So that's really all about it this week, guys. I really sorry that the show is a short show today. Again, next week we will talk about we'll delve a little bit more into the air war over Korea. We'll make a couple videos and a couple of live podcasts about it. If you guys, again, want to look a little bit more deeper into the Bay of Pigs invasion and find out more about our role in that war, in that conflict in the Caribbean and other conflicts that we got into as well after World War II, those are the books you really want to get into, and you'll learn a little bit about that specific conflict that the U.S. government got in. Had a good weekend. All right, guys, that's about it. That's next week. We'll also touch base here on the SST40. I picked out a motor for it. It's a 900 kV. I think that's enough power for it. And I'll probably work on it this week also, putting the motor together. It'll probably sit out about that far. I just really didn't get to it because, like I said, I just got back, mowed the lawn, took a shower, and got ready for the podcast. So, but I really do appreciate you watching tonight's broadcast. For those of you that are here watching in the background, I appreciate it. For all of you who have recently subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. It's nice to see that other people out there like the same stuff, that same style of aviation and history that goes along with this channel. And I hope you'll watch some of my longer format videos, not only the shorts, but some of the longer format videos that are out there. Again, if you want to interact with me and ask me questions, please go over to Patreon. If you have Patreon on your phone, or if you download Patreon on the phone, please be advised that Apple, not Patreon, Apple adds I think like a surcharge for subscribing to Patreon. So try and do it through your laptop if you do decide to subscribe to the Patreon channel. Again, it's $2 a month. $2 a month. You'll get more insight, and we'll be able to talk and give me some ideas, and I'll be able to send you guys more information on any books that come out and anything that we talk about here on the channel. You're not going to find me on Facebook, on Twitter, or TikTok. I really don't do any of that, but you will find me on Patreon. Okay? So again, I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're watching this on playback, please hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. That's number one. Real important. And hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell icon. It'll let you know when we go live Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. Every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Unless something drastic happens, or knock on wood, nothing happens, and we're able to do this broadcast. All right? So, again, thank you guys very much for watching tonight, and I will see you guys next week. Again, we'll talk about Korea. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, guys.